kids. I don't remember 19, 20, and I remember, and you know, I didn't really have money back then. I was kind of on my own when I was young, and I just remember I was in the back seat of my buddy's car, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, the internet," and we're like, "Yeah, what the fuck is that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know," because the first time I was introduced to it, it was this nerdy kid that was talking about like meeting girls in a like a chat
room. Yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. I was like,
but now that guy's a stud today because he's on Tinder and
he's getting everybody. So I mean, that was, and he was like a really nerdy dude, and I was like, man, that's fucking weird. And then the second time was a couple years later. I think I was 18 or something, and my buddy's like, yeah, you know, you search on the web and you know, you just type, and it's funny because she's become one of the main people on the internet. Alyssa, he's like, you type Alyssa Milano naked, and then you see naked pictures everywhere. Like, get the fuck out. There's no way. It's impossible. He's like, yeah, I swear to you. And so I think the next place we went was to go look for internet. We went to his house on a computer. But so the internet came out, right? And so it's supposed to be the information superhighway. But our generation at first, we didn't use it for that. We used it for, you know,
other things.
Shit. Yeah, like porn and all that shit. And so instead of that, that's what we're using it for.
I'll bet you people that got iPhones are the same thing. They're like, man, you've got access to like, there's more technology in this than when the space shuttle first went to moon. You know what I mean?
Or when the little phone.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And like, what can I do? I can probably look up.
I can look at tits. Holy shit, I can look at tits all day.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So funny.
Yeah, but it's funny because then the chat rooms ended up being like the cool thing, the AOL chat rooms and all that stuff. And you meet people, and actually I met somebody when I was 23, but not in a chat room. It was in a backgammon. It was like in the backgammon game. So we were playing a game, and I forgot what it was. It was just typing. I'm like, I forgot what the name was, her handle. But anyways, I find out it's a woman. I'm like, oh shit, you know, it's cool. You know, we both play.
And at this point, you don't know what catfishing is, so you're like,
no clue. So I was like, yo, send me a picture. And she sent me a picture in the mail. But she didn't have to. You could still send photos. But she sent me a picture in the mail, and it was like, she was like 30 feet away from the camera, where I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, but whatever. She's nice. You know, we were talking. We ended up, you know, exchanging phone numbers, talking. We ended up meeting in Disney World. And,
bro, this is kind of creepy at this point.
Yeah, but she was actually not bad looking. But I was 23, she was 33 or 35, and but she was just so cool. You know, she's like, hey, yeah, let's go to Disney World. I'm like, look, I got no money. You know, I was working. Where was I working at the time? I was working at a sports bar. It's called the Ale House, and I was working the door, but I ended up working the expo job. And but I just wasn't making money, you know. So I was like, I can't afford, you know. I make money and I spend it. So I never really was a saver. When you're young and you don't really have, you know, parental guidance, say, hey, this is what you need to do with your money. You blow. You make money, you blow, you buy stuff. And so she was like, don't worry, I'll pay for it. I'm like, no, I can't have you pay for it. She's like, I'll pay for it. She lived in Washington, and but we ended up meeting. She was really cool, and she ended up being married, and but that was about it. It was just interesting. So I was talking shit about this kid about meeting people, but now everybody meets on the internet. You know, it's just crazy how everything's changed. You know, and it's like, do you think it's better or worse?
Oh, 100% worse. There's somebody I know who she's single, and she was talking about how frustrating it is because it's kind of hard to compete, right? Because she can put on a profile, you know, what her interests are and everything else, but the next swipe is like the same interest, and also I do anal.
It's hanging out.
Something like that. Like how do you compete with that? You know, like,
but and it's what you're looking for too, you know, like
that's Tinder's just a cheap trick, man. Honestly,
it's the swipe generation. Like, oh, she doesn't check every box swipe. She doesn't check every box swipe. It's ridiculous, you know. Even and that's the same thing with those.
Well, you know what I think is troubling about it is that, so let's say you check all the boxes, right?
Hold on, she's single. What does she look like?
She just got engaged, but
even better.
But so what I think is troubling is that if you get somebody that checks all the same box and then you realize that you're still not happy, well, you know, I think that's more damaging because at some point you're going to sit alone and say, wait, this individual was perfect.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's, if she's perfect, your idea of perfect, then you have to confront yourself.
Right.
You know, which actually might be a good thing too.
Yeah. It's definitely a good thing because you just learn something about yourself.
Oh, for sure. And so you get to finally have one introspective moment, you know, which is good. There's a play where in a scene, there's a lady complaining about all the things going bad, and she's like, "Dear God, I hope it's me."
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Well, why? Why would you want that?" She's like, "Well, if it's me, I can fix that.
Yeah.
If it's not, how am I going to confront the rest of the world?"
Else,
yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And that goes for a lot. That's the beauty of life. You know, when you're young, you think you know what you want, and you're pretty much judgmental. I was a judgmental fuck when I was young, but you know, and then you get older, you're like, hey, maybe it's money. You know, maybe I need money. And
well, that's the low-hanging fruit, right?
Yeah, and the first time I made money and I got into the gold business, you know, I did the poker thing and I was kind of burnt out, and someone, you know, the whole cash for gold thing. Mm-hmm. So there was a guy that I actually helped out really, you know, he was suicidal at one point. You know, he lost his job, lost his girlfriend. You know, I worked in Iowa, opened up a casino, a poker room in Iowa, and I didn't know him, but, you know, he got a job there, and things fell apart. He ended up coming down here to stay with me for a little while, and he's like, "Man, thanks, man, you really helped me." And so things started turning around for him. He was he was a jeweler in New York, you know, back in the Diamond District, and so he knew the business well, and so he moved back to Florida, got into the gold business, and he's like, "Hey, Oren, you know, you want to change your careers?" You know, the whole cash for gold thing was just starting to blow up. And I was like, yeah, you know, I want to get into jewelry business. I'd like to learn it.
So this must have been like what? I'm just taking a guess. 2005, 2007?
No, 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like I moved here after Katrina, which was 2006.
Gotcha.
The Beau Rivage opened up exactly 1 year anniversary date from when Katrina hit, which was really cool that they got that accomplished. But so I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna move down there, and I got a job dealing poker down there too as part-time, just because this business I wasn't sure was gonna work out for me. And but I ended up learning the business a lot, and I'm losing train of thought. But I ended up learning the business a lot, and I ended up coming back here to do it because no one was doing it here, just buying gold, you know. So I ended up coming here buying gold, and it just blew up. Like my motto. So gold buyers, you know, like pawn shops and shit. It's like you got to be, I hate to say sleazy, but you got to be an opportunist. You got to see weak people, and you got to make as much money as you can. And that's how you become good at what you do, you know, just like car sales. Like, hey, what's my trade? And they just lowball. They just take a shot. They try to make as much money as they can. Mm-hmm. And I'm terrible at doing that. So my philosophy was, I'll pay a lot more than everybody else, and my money will come in numbers. And that's what happened. So
so you're a volume dealer.
That's exactly what it was. So people would come with like a little bit of gold like this, and one of the things is that people would do is like, well, how much do you want for it? Because they have no fucking clue what it's worth. I'm like, I don't know, give me $100. Could be worth 1,000. Like, you know, I'll give you 80. You're ecstatic to give them 100.
Yeah.
But you know, I would do something like that.
Sure.
And then I'd say, well, you know what?
I feel like you got trained from the Pawn Star show.
Well, this guy was like, this guy, like I say, he was in New York. He was in the Diamond. He learned every trick in the book. This guy taught me everything. And I learned so much from him, and it was just great. So what I would do, I was like, how much do you want for it? So like, I'll take $100, a little bag of gold like this. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm going to give you more. Okay, I'll give you $350. Like I could have given her $150. She would have been ecstatic. But you know what? If it's worth, you know, I'd give about 60% of the value of what it's worth. Because, you know, I got stores, businesses, payroll, so you got to make money.
Yeah, you got overhead.
And 50% is, you know, decent, but some places were just trying to lowball as much as they can, which, you know, that's the business. But you got to be, you know, what I tell people is like, just don't go to one guy, go to more than one person. I even tell other people, go shop it around. You know, whatever you get, I'll pay you more. No one pays what I pay. They just don't want to. They don't have to.
Yeah.
So, like I'll tell this lady here, I'm giving you $350. She's like, what? Like people would cry, you know, because they couldn't believe how much money they were getting from me. And so they would tell their friends and their friends and their friends. So I went from one store to 2 stores, 3 stores. I ended up having 6 stores here. I partnered with another store in Houston, which became a nightmare. But, and so I was making money, like from, you know, a kid that was kind of pretty much on his own from when he was 16 to like making real money for the first time in my life. Like it was coming in, And it's funny because it took me about a year to even just like dig into the money. I just put it away because, you know, I don't want to spend it. I don't want to be broke again. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well,
so,
it's often more fun to make money than it is to spend it, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, making money because it's like a challenge.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So, yeah, spending money, it's tough. But so, you know, the point is like about learning about yourself is that, you know, I make this money and I got money and, you know, I bought a nice car for the first time. And
What'd you buy?
the Infinity, the big Infinity.
Yeah,
I think it was the QX80. Yeah, the big one. And I was going to get a Escalade because my whole life I want an Escalade. You know, I was like, fuck, I'm getting an Escalade when I get money. Because you see how the NFL players. Yeah. I remember when the Escalade first came out. I always loved Cadillacs and I always loved SUVs. So when that came out, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. They made that just for me. You know, that's my car. So I actually test drove the Escalade and I test drove the Infinity. And the Escalade was a little more, but the Infinity was just a much better vehicle. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I was like, man, I'm not getting an Escalade. But so, you know, I got money. I could do whatever I want. I could go wherever I want. But for the first time in my life, like I was like, fuck, man. Like you're lonely. Like this money doesn't mean shit. You know, like the people that this car attracts, they don't know me. They don't give a shit about me. You know, it's like they see a nice car, they see money, they see opportunity. You know, so actually for the first time in my life, I actually dealt with a little bit of depression, which I thought was bullshit. Like, I never thought depression was a real thing. I'm like, man, you're just in a rut, you know, get the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had this money and it's just, you know, you're in Vegas and you're just, like I was at the, stayed at the Aria and so one of the Aria Sky Suites and they gave me a Sky Suite for 30 days. So I didn't wipe my ass for 30 days. They got these toilet seats with these bidets. You just push a button and they just,
Got it.
Fucking great.
I've got them in my house.
Oh my God, it's phenomenal.
I'm telling you, man. And so all this bullshit about this toilet paper crisis during COVID.
Yeah,
oh man, I'm laughing, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like for 30 days, and it's unbelievable. It's got a little computer here, and then you can adjust the power. So I started I did number 5, and I swear it almost ripped my ass wide open. So I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And then I started, but after the 30 days,
you go too
I worked
high.
my way up to a number 3.
You go too high, and I think you start to question your own sexuality.
Yeah, it feels good. God damn. But it had a fan. It dried your ass off with the fan.
Okay, I don't have that one.
Oh no, this thing was ridiculous. It was a computer oscillating. I'm like, oh shit.
What?
You can move it forward, get a little of your balls, you know, get your balls tickled. It was phenomenal. I think I was in the bathroom longer than I was at the poker table in Vegas. It's fucking the Sky Suites is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so you're in the Sky Suites and you just look. You got whatever you want, but it's like at that time, you know, I was doing the online dating thing a lot, and I met this one, you know, woman, and we had a great time. But I had to go to Vegas the next day. We actually ended up, you know, we met in Hattiesburg. She lived a little north, I lived a little south, and we just hit it off great. We ended up at a hotel. It was fucking great, and she said, "What about, you know, you want to meet up again?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in Vegas for a month, you know, maybe a little longer." And but suddenly you're in Vegas, and it's just like, I don't know, like you got whatever you want, and you know, I was thinking, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll fly her up. We had a really good time. We talked for a few weeks before, you know, before we even met. And but regardless, I was alone, and you know, you can go to hang out with friends and whatnot. But I was like, I got all this money, but something's missing. You know, like I'm not happy. So you realize money's not shit. You know, I mean, it makes life a little easier, but you know, mentally it doesn't fix, you know, everything. You know, it's like, yo, if you're single and you're lonely and you're looking for somebody, and money's not gonna fix that.
Yeah.
Like if you're just not happy with yourself, money's not gonna fix that. People just think money is something that will fix everything. But like, you know, you see these rich people and they're killing themselves, or they're or you know, just like they're getting in trouble. Like, what are you, stupid? You're rich. Why are you stealing stuff? It's like, there's so much more to money, to life than money, you know. And now it's, you know, when I you know, I started a new business, and there's not a lot of money in it, but I like it. It's fun, and
it's purposeful. It's full of purpose.
That's what it is. It's all about fulfillment and purpose. Yeah. You know, like. And
what's your business?
So I opened up like a bagel shop, sandwich shop, And
okay, now I'm really confused. Okay, because you say you're Israeli, right? And you worked in the diamond business, and then also you own a sandwich shop. And I could have never thought that you would end up there.
Yeah, well, a buddy of mine was like, dude, like when I opened my sports bar, you know, it's like a bagel shop. So bagels and gold, like the most Jewy juicy, you know. It's like, hey, is he Jewish? I don't know. He's got a bagel shop and working the gold business. Yeah. So you tell me. But a buddy of mine's like, yo, you went from, because I was telling him about, like, man, chicken wings are expensive now. It's cost this much a pound. He's like, dude, what the fuck? You went from weighing gold to weighing chicken wings. I was like, yeah, no, fuck.